The state I researched was Nevada. The timeline for this project is 1850 to 1910. Here's some background information about Nevada. Nevada became a territory in 1861 and a state in 1864. Nevada is known as the Silver State. This is because of the vast amount of silver found in the state. The mining in the state also caused a lot of controversy. Though mining can cause a person to strike it rich, the conditions of the mining were not healthy. During Nevada's first 3 decades of statehood, they were a Republican state. They advocated for free market labor and that it was superior to slavery. Nevada was often manipulated by corrupt officials, and it was rumored that government officials would pay for their seats in the Senate. Nevada was a free state. Nevada relied on mining and ranching as their prime source of income for the state. The Comstock lode, which is a lode of silver ore located under the eastern slope of Mount Davidson, reached an annual output of $36 million in silver in 1878. However, in the 1870s, the federal government limited the role of silver in the monetary system. This shut down many thriving mines and turned communities into ghost towns. The population of Nevada from 1860 to 1910 grew rapidly. In 1860, there were 6,857 people there. In 1870, 42,491. In 1880, 62,266. In 1890, 45,761. In 1900, 42,335. And in 1910, 81,875. In 1890, there were 1,594 Native Americans, but they were not included in the general state census. Nevada was made up mostly of Catholicism. The first Catholic church in Nevada was built in 1861 in Genoa. The Nevada State Constitution states all individuals have absolute freedom of worship and toleration of religious sentiments. Nevada has a long history of gambling. Many prospectors traveled to Nevada for gold and brought their games with them. In 1861, the territorial legislature instituted stiff penalties for participating in any game of chance, but this wasn't successful. In 1869, Nevada decriminalized certain forms of gambling. Nevada's gambling laws had few changes up until 1909. In 1909, Nevada criminalized gaming and the operation of all games of chance. The Mexican-American War was between America and Mexico in 1846 through 1848. The United States ultimately won the war. The result of this war was the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo, which ended the war and gave the U.S. California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, and the other parts of Arizona that the Gadsden Purchase, another treaty from this war, didn't cover. Nevada became an American territory through the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. It became a state because Lincoln saw it as an opportunity to get more votes against slavery. Nevada itself helped the economy tremendously. The silver found in Nevada contributed $400 million that financed the Union War effort to defeat Southern states. The American Civil War occurred between 1861 and 1865. The war was fought by the Union and the Confederacy. The reason for the war was economic policies, the federal government's power, the role of slavery in American society, and more. Nevada's contribution to the American Civil War was mainly in the Comstock lode. Though there were no engagements between the Union and the Confederacy in Nevada, Nevada was created as a vote during the Civil War and ultimately funded the Union's efforts. Nevada relied on federal powers. The Constitution of the State of Nevada states, "The Constitution of the United States confers full power of the federal government to maintain and perpetuate its existence. And whensoever any portion of the states or people thereof attempt to secede from the federal union or forcibly resist the execution of its laws, the federal government may, by warrant of the Constitution, employ armed force in compelling obedience to its authority." Nevada was made a state to essentially help the North, but in Nevada's early statehood, the southern part of Nevada was claimed by the Confederacy. But the South never sent any troops, and the whole state soon aided the North's war efforts. According to Henry Breen from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Southern Nevada's brief affiliation with the Confederate States of America is more of a quirk of history that left no mark on its psyche. But Nevada's main contribution to the Civil War was $400 million in silver ore from the Comstock lode to the north. The Reconstruction era was a period in which the United States pondered the question on how to integrate millions of newly freed African Americans into social, political, and labor systems. It was also a time of incorporating the southern states back into full political participation in the Union. However, in Nevada, Reconstruction was somewhat non-existent. One thing they did do during this time was extend suffrage to Nevada's very small African American population, but opposed voting rights to the state's much larger Chinese American population. When Nevada became a territory in 1861, it became a hotbed of carpetbaggers. Carpetbaggers are political candidates who seek election in an area where they have no local connections. Nevada became a territory of opportunity for position and wealth. The government in Nevada was madness. Nearly everyone who was not successful in mining became a politician. Sundown towns were present in Nevada. Sundown towns are all white neighborhoods that discriminate against and practice a form of racial segregation by excluding non-white people. One known town that does this is Minden, Nevada. Currently, they have a siren that sounds every day at noon and 5 p.m. This siren is associated with the town's discriminatory history of excluding Native Americans. But in 1974, the town's ordinance was finally repealed. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments granted the freedom of former slaves and granted certain civil rights to them. These amendments were intended to protect former slaves and all citizens of the United States against discrimination. Nevada was the 15th state to ratify the 13th Amendment on February 16, 1865. I couldn't find anything that said whether Nevada ratified the 14th Amendment, but I do know that they had just started as a state when the idea was proposed, so they probably didn't have a strong state government to sign it or not. Regarding the 15th Amendment, Nevada was the first state to ratify it. They agreed to extend suffrage to the state's African American population. But like I said earlier, that did not include their much higher population of Chinese Americans. The Gilded Age was between 1877 and 1896. It was a period sandwiched between the Reconstruction era and the Progressive era. It was a time of growth in industry and the increase of immigrants. Nevada had boom settlements such as Virginia City. These settlements were referred to as the epicenter of America's Gilded Age. These places provided sanctuary for miners to blow off steam after mining and help in the overall economy. Though Nevada contributed a lot to the economy during the Gilded Age, Nevada was against the ideas portrayed during this time. The Progressive era was a time between 1900 and 1929. It was a time of intense social and political reform aimed at making progress toward a better society. Nevada was very involved in this era. Progressivism swept through Nevada. They passed some reforms during this time on the behalf of the citizens. Some of these reforms included labor rights, which guaranteed 8-hour workdays. It also included women's suffrage, economic reform, environmental protections, and the welfare of the poor, including poor immigrants. Immigration in Nevada included thousands of Cornish, Irish, and other miners that came into the state during the mining time. These immigrants most likely came from California in hopes of striking it rich in the mining industry. Nevada's census of 1870 recorded 40% of all Nevada residents came from Britain, Germany, Ireland, China, and Canada. In 1880, Italians came in large numbers to Nevada. Immigrants during this time faced adversity with few jobs being offered to them, terrible living conditions, and poor working conditions. But Nevada never stopped getting immigrants. In fact, by 1910, a majority of their population were German, English, Irish, and Greek. When Nevada became a state, they had a thriving economy. People were coming to the area to mine and strike it rich. Nevada did experience an economic bust during the 1910s. Even though it is not in our timeline, because of this bust in their economy, Nevada experienced disillusionment from failures at social reform and a population decline of nearly 1/4 of their population. Aside from the bust in the 1910s, Nevada's mineral wealth continues to be an essential part of the state's economy. The main Native American tribes that inhabited Nevada during this time were the Paiute, Shoshone, and Washoe. Nevada's Native American population was 1.1% of the population. Native Americans have dual citizenship. They hold U.S. citizenship along with tribal citizenship. 97% of Nevada's tribal nations are rural, and from what information I have found, Nevada has a good relationship with the Native Americans in the area.